Hello there. Before we get started on today's episode, I'd like to ask a short favor. If you're interested in either of the two books that I have written and am about to release, head on over to my website at theanxioustruth.com/books. There you can learn about both books, one of which is free, and you can get on my mailing list to be notified when each book is released and how you can get it. I would really appreciate that. Okay, let's get rolling. Welcome to That Anxiety Guy, Episode 16, Walking the Walk, Don't Be a Paper Tiger. Hey everybody, Drew here, thatanxietyguy.com. As always, thanks for stopping by to listen. I always appreciate it. Welcome to episode 16 of the podcast. Today we're going to talk about the topic of confidence and belief in oneself, but also false confidence, false bravado, and what's called being a paper tiger. So let's take a look at this. If you are overcoming an anxiety disorder, having confidence and belief in yourself is essential. You have to have that. But false confidence and false bravado really doesn't help. So let's learn how to walk the walk if we're going to talk the talk. Let's start by looking at the phrase paper tiger. What does it mean to be a paper tiger? From what I can gather, paper tiger is actually an English translation of an Asian phrase that I can't pronounce, so I'm not even going to try. The term actually refers to somebody or something that seems threatening and imposing, but in reality is ineffectual and kind of withers at an instant challenge. So it's like the dog that's all bark and no bite, or the athlete that's talking smack but loses the game. So you're kind of talking the talk as a paper tiger. You look like you're a force to be reckoned with, but yeah, not really. When the chips are down, you kind of fold like a house of cards. That's what being a paper tiger is. Now, in my travels throughout the years, through different anxiety and panic-related forums and message boards and Facebook groups and things of that nature, on an almost daily basis, you're going to come across people who are frustrated and disappointed with themselves and angry, and will come and post messages that are really kind of venting, kind of expressing that disappointment and that anger and that frustration. And that's to be expected. That's totally normal. That's okay. We all need to vent like that sometimes. It's actually healthy. Now, these sort of vent posts, if that's what we want to call them, they're usually responded to with, attempts at support from other members of the forum. And many of those attempts at supporting often look something like this. Tell me if this sounds familiar. It's okay. You're strong. We're all strong, and we're going to kick anxiety's ass. You'll see. It might also sound something like this. One day, we'll all be normal, and we're going to meet somewhere, and we're going to celebrate our victory together. Or here's another pretty common one, and it goes something like this. We are all warriors and soldiers. Nobody understands how hard this is. This would bring most normal people to their knees. So these are very common threads. And you know what? It's pretty normal. You're trying to respond to somebody who's in distress and you're offering them some support. You're trying to prop them up and make them feel better about themselves. And in the meanwhile, you're also kind of trying to make yourself feel better about yourself. Now, if this were a football game, we would call that trash talking or maybe talking smack. And you know what? I love that. Because like I said, if you're going to overcome an anxiety disorder, you're going to need a belief in yourself and the confidence that you can get the job done. And trash talking smack, that's a really good indicator of confidence. So I say, let it rip when you need to. So if we have to do a little chest bumping and high-fiving from time to time because it gets us motivated, it gets us fired up, and it sort of propels us into action, then go for it. I'm all for that. But here's the problem. If you're going to talk the talk, at some point, we also have to walk the walk. In an earlier podcast episode, and I'm sure I'm going to cover this stuff again and again, I talked about how dealing with anxiety is an active process. There's no automatic immune response that's going to fix your disorder if you retreat and wait quietly for something to happen. That may work okay when you get a sinus infection or you get a strep throat or you get the flu, or if you break your ankle, you rest, you hide from the world, and you lay in bed and your body fixes itself. You don't really have to do anything except rest and avoid feeling worse or re-injuring yourself. But in the case of anxiety disorders, there is no such automatic immune response. You have to actually engage in meeting the disorder head on and doing the work that needs to be done to overcome it. Now, that being said, if you really believe that one day you will knock your panic disorder on its ass, then there's work to be done. Some of it's going to be hard. Much of it's going to be very scary, especially in the beginning. But nothing is going to change or improve just because we say it will, or we hope it will, or we want it to improve. Without action, our words become meaningless and without substance. That's all bark and no bite, and that's being a paper tiger. Don't be a paper tiger. Now, I'm going to admit something here. I have been a paper tiger in the past. At my worst, I would get down on myself. I'd start to be pissed off at where I was in life, and I'd say all the time that I am done feeling this way. That's it. This is the final straw. I'm finished. I'm going to start making a change. I would make long, rambling statements about how that's it. I don't care what it takes. I'm getting past this. I'm getting over it. I'm changing my life. I'm getting my life back. I'm tired of being stuck in the house. I'm tired of avoiding everything. I'm tired of being afraid of everything. I'd make all these crazy statements, a lot of trash talking, a lot of smack talking. Then you know what I would do? I would immediately go right back to trying to avoid anything in the world that might trigger my anxiety or panic. So I would talk a good game, and then I would retreat and again engage immediately in the avoidance lifestyle. Then after a while, I'd feel even worse about myself because I was out there saying these things that I couldn't follow through with. And to me, I was starting to feel like a jerk to myself, and I just assumed that, well, you know what? People who are watching me say these things must think I'm a jerk too. So that was rough. Now, being a paper tiger, in this case, really has nothing to do with a character flaw or being a bad person or a personality flaw. First of all, it's not my place to pass judgment on those issues because we all live the life that we choose to live. But what I'm mainly concerned with here is practical, right? I'm interested in how being a paper tiger can actually have a negative impact on recovery and overcoming anxiety disorders like panic disorder and agoraphobia. That's what I'm interested here, and I think that's what we're interested in together. So there really are real-world consequences here, practical consequences for failing to walk the walk. You can't back up your words. There are actual impact for doing that. There's two. I mean, you can impact yourself and you can impact the people around you. So number one, your self-image and confidence, like I was just talking about for myself, can start to erode. Right? So if you're out there and you're talking smack and not following up, sooner or later, that starts to bite you in the butt in terms of making you feel bad about yourself. You start to feel a little bit like a fraud. And we can't afford to feel that way. We need confidence. So we don't want to do anything that's going to erode that confidence. And secondly, it can actually start to impact the people around you. So if you are in a situation where you have kind of struggled, maybe you don't get enough support from your family and friends, or they're not as supportive as you'd hope they would be, well, you know what? Everyone loves an underdog. So when you see somebody fighting the good fight, doing the best they can, against the odds, really fighting adversity, you tend to get in that person's corner and you cheer them on. But when you see somebody who is kind of up against it and says they're going to fight the good fight, but then doesn't actually get involved in it, well, how many times can you hear that before you begin to throw your hands up and turn your back a little bit? So, if you're trying to gain the support of your friends and family where maybe it's been lacking, you could see how, that failing to walk the walk, being a paper tiger, can maybe make that even more difficult. Right? So that's a practical consideration. So again, this isn't about accusing anybody of being weak or a bad person or of weak moral fiber or character. I'm really concerned here with the actual practical implications of that paper tiger syndrome, how it can negatively impact us and also our immediate support system that's so important to us. Okay, so what do we do about this? What do we do about the paper tiger problem? Are we supposed to just stop talking about recovery or thinking about it? Should we never make plans to live a normal life? Should we never express any sort of confidence or bravado? Well, of course not. My advice is to never stop thinking about it. Never, ever lose confidence or belief in your ability to improve your situation. I say this all the time, and I know many people don't believe it about themselves, but you absolutely have the courage and strength inside you that you need to get this job done. You do. We all do. I believe that with all my heart. So instead of backing away from the trash talk, instead start working on actually backing it up. Start working on actually walking the walk. Now, this doesn't mean taking huge, impressive leaps forward. So you don't have to go from completely housebound to being on a world cruise in 7 days. It actually just means taking small steps forward, but taking them every single day, no matter how you feel, right? Because small steps add up to big distances over time, And really, that's what we're looking for. So, for example, if you haven't left your house in 2 months, then just standing on your front porch, your front steps, for a couple of minutes, even if you're in full panic mode while you do it, that's progress. That's walking the walk, right? Maybe you should be practicing progressive muscle relaxation techniques. Maybe you should be practicing relaxation breathing techniques. That's walking the walk too. That's making progress. How about learning a bit about meditation and how to calm your mind and quiet your thoughts? How about practicing that? That's also walking the walk. But in the end, start doing the things that you fear and do them over and over, working on relaxing when you really want to run and hide. That is walking the walk. So even though they may be very small, tiny steps forward in every single day, as long as you're taking them every day, regardless of how badly you may feel and regardless of how afraid you are, that, my friend, that is walking the walk. Then talk all the trash you want because you'll be backing it up. So in the end, I would say, you know what? Let's go ahead and talk some trash from time to time. Go ahead and talk some smack from time to time. But then take some steps forward, no matter how small they may be, and then be proud of yourself because you'll be backing up your words with meaningful actions that will, in fact, affect change in your life. And then it's goodbye, paper tiger. Right? So it's going to be a little shorter episode this week. It's actually Mother's Day. It's Sunday, May 10th, 2015, here in the U.S. So happy Mother's Day if you're listening on this exact day. Or if by some chance it's Mother's Day, whenever you're listening to this episode. So I have a lot going on today. I don't have a whole lot of time. I'm going to wrap it up here. As always, I appreciate you guys coming by to listen. I would love to hear comments and feedback. Whatever you have to say, positive or negative, questions, comments, suggestions about future episodes, whatever it may be, you can pop on over to my website, thatanxietyguy.com. Every episode is posted there for you to listen. You can comment right then and there. You can also find links to my Twitter, @thatanxietyguy, Facebook, which is facebook.com/thatanxietyguy. There's also Tumblr, thatanxietyguy.tumblr.com if you like that sort of thing. I believe I have a link to my YouTube channel. There's only one video, but there will be more. Whatever way you'd like to get in touch and communicate with me, I'm good with, because any feedback is good. I don't care what it is, positive or negative. And again, work this week on not being a paper tiger. Take a tiny little step forward because, like I say at the end of every podcast, every step forward is a good step forward, no matter how small it may be. So you guys have an awesome day, and I will see you in the next episode. Hey, what's up, guys? Drew here. In the 5 years that I've done the podcast, I've never had a sponsor. But now it's time for me to put in a little plug for the day job, the business that I own. And that business is managed WordPress hosting. So if you have a website and it runs WordPress, and you'd like WordPress hosting that makes WordPress faster, more secure, and way easier than you ever imagined it would be, then check out Helix. You can find us online at imhelix.com. That's IAMHELIX.com. We took a long time to build Helix. I'm super proud of it. It works spectacularly. We take really good care of our customers, and I promise we would take really good care of you too. So if you're in the market for WordPress hosting that will blow your mind, check out Helix. I would appreciate the consideration. I thank you for coming by and listening, and I'll see you the next time.